Cheers. Let the holiday begin.
Here we go.
And there's balcony number 2.
We won't all fit in that one. No. So I've got Christine, Ian, and then David and Christina.
Yep.
Easy. All right.
Easy,
Guys,
yeah.
Have you been before in a helicopter?
Yep.
I've been a couple of times too.
Well, that's good to know.
Let's start off. Put around this side of the sun. Alright, there's camera we're going to use to take the photos. Ready?
We did train test first.
in the middle of its sleep pattern, that's annoying, and then you're handling it, that's unnatural, and then you're also using up energy that animal's not using positively. So there's a few things that can be a problem with it. So that's why we've moved away from doing it.
You have to look accountable. I looked at the plan for lunch.
Welcome to Melbourne.
Is that a GoPro?
Is it really?
Is it waterproof?
Not in that mode.
What are you doing?
You're going to film it, you're just filming it.
It's Robbo Man.
In a taxi to Melbourne. Sorry, Melbourne.
Melbourne. You haven't seen the best yet. Yeah, and things are coming towards you. You feel like you're actually falling. Yeah, and then there was another one where you're in this house and you actually fell. Like you're holding onto the seat, it was just so real.
You've got glasses like that, haven't you?
Okay.
PM. This stop is King Street. The free tram zone now covers Melbourne's CBD and Docklands. Trips entirely to this zone will be free, so you won't need to touch on your phone.
The road and shops. Yeah, and there were steps that you sort of set down. Yeah, but Monday's like that too. The steps down, promenade. Probably about a year ago, we was on the news. Elderly gentleman, so it must be. He had it sounds like he had a heart attack. He went straight over the barricade. I was supposed to be down in the shop centre. Over onto the beach.
Well, the first two with the horses, unfortunately, the Nando's truck is actually blocking one of them. On the far side is Joan of Arc from France. No one from France. Excellent. My French is horrible. That is great. Okay. And we have St. George and the Dragon from England. Anyone from England on my tour?
Yeah.
Wonderful. My English is great. You should be in luck today. Okay. So the best explanation I have for these two statues is that they just wanted to be France and England both happy at the same time and a good distance apart from each other, so they put them on opposite sides of the library. And the big statue out the front in all of his glory is Sir Redmond Barry. Now he gets the statue out the front of the library because he chose the first books for the library. And he's famous for many things around Melbourne, but all of those things are completely overshadowed by the fact that Sir Redmond Barry was the judge of the trial of Australia's famous criminal bushranger, Ned Kelly. And the first thing you probably noticed as you were walking down is you saw these big metallic bands around the trees. They've stopped the possums from climbing up. So the main problem the Australian possums cause is they like to eat away at the new shoots of leaves or scratch away at the new growths. It's kind of an Australian possum European tree thing. They just don't get along. Hopefully we'll have a look and see if we can find a possum, and you'll be able to tell that the metallic bands do absolutely nothing. So they're useless and ugly, but yeah, I mean, welcome to Melbourne. So here in Carlton Gardens, I'll talk a little bit about those economic booms and how this modern city of Melbourne was created. That guy getting closer, it sounds like it's getting louder. So to begin with, there are 5 Aboriginal language groups of the Kulin Nation, that we call the Kulin Nation, that have lived here for at least 40,000 years. And it's tradition when people gather in this area, like we're doing today, that we pay respect to the elders of the Kulin Nation, past and present. We do that because they have an unbroken lineage of elders dating back thousands of years that have taken care of this land. And they still take care of this land to this day. For example, the elders of the Kulin Nation still run ceremonies here in these gardens. But it was in 1788 that Sydney began as a British convict colony. Back then, the whole east coast of Australia was the British colony of New South Wales. Now, this area was left relatively undisturbed. Not a lot happened here in terms of colonial development for the next 14 plus 32, so about 46 years, until 1835, June, a farmer named John Batman came here to make a deal with the Aboriginal people and buy their land. Now, his name is pronounced Batman, but it's spelled the same as Batman, B-A-T-M-A-N. So if you're walking around the city and you see the word Batman written literally everywhere, I promise we're not celebrating the masked man. It is actually our founder here in Melbourne. Now, the Eiffel Tower in Paris is a product of their World Exhibition in 1889. So you can tell that this building is pretty important to us. In 2004, the Royal Exhibition building was the first building in all of Australia to be put on the UNESCO World Heritage listing. So alluvial gold, or surface gold, was dug up in those 7 years. That's around $20 billion in today's gold prices, so not too bad. So we grew to a population of 500,000 in just those 7 years. Now, Melbourne had leapt into a lifestyle that other cities had waited hundreds of years for. And the gold rush was mostly ending by the 1860s. People were starting to leave by that point. Generation. Now, the Australian government officially apologised for the policies of past Australian governments in 2009. Now, this very short history and very short perspective comes from a white, privileged male here in Australia. So if you'd like to learn more from other people that know a lot more than I do and have a much greater perspective, there are 2 places that I would really highly suggest you go to. In the Melbourne Museum, which is the building behind the Royal Exhibition building, there's the Bunjalaka exhibit, which is a great way to learn about pre-colonial ancient Aboriginal history in this area. And in Federation Square, which we'll go to later on in the tour, there's the Koori Heritage Trust, which is a free entry art gallery, and it's a great way to learn about modern Aboriginal art and culture in this area. Now, because our capital city, Canberra, had to be built from scratch, the celebration for Australia becoming a country happened in the Royal Exhibition building, and this is where Parliament sat for 27 years until 1927, when Canberra was finally built. So, pretty important to us here. Another beautiful building you might be able to see in the distance, that is the old gold vault, so the old treasury here in Melbourne. Now that's where they kept all that gold in the Victorian gold era. Built in 1886, and also French Second Empire architecture style, so it's just as beautiful on the inside as it is on the outside.
Liz, you're quite entitled to photo bomb if you like.
You did. I did that last night. Did you do that last night?
Place to go for lunch. De Grave Street and Centre Place are definitely the place to go. Now the reason we're actually heading up Flinders Lane at the moment is because down Flinders Lane is Hosier Lane, which is one of Melbourne's, well, it is Melbourne's most famous street art laneway, and has one of my favourite pieces of artwork anywhere in Melbourne. So, let's go check out some artwork. Let's do it. Now this whole area, all these buildings you see around you were the winner of a design competition. 170 entrances around Australia and 15 different countries around the world, and this was the winner. Melburnians were not exactly impressed. They thought for the money spent, it was a little bit ugly in some areas. In fact, it is voted in the top 10 most ugly buildings in the world according to some surveys. Now, it has been 14 years since it was complete, and Melburnians have come to like it. It was just a little bit of a shock to begin with. I've been told to learn to appreciate these buildings, we have to see how it blends in with the old and the new buildings in the city. Kind of looks a little bit like urban camouflage. Maybe we can see that from the other side of the river. Now, all these buildings are mostly free entry art galleries. The Corey Heritage Trust, which I mentioned earlier for modern Aboriginal art and culture in the area, which is just in the corner over there. This is ACME over here, the Australian Centre of the Moving Image, an interactive exhibit about movies, television, video games, things like that. And this area that we're standing in here can host up to 10,000 people when a big event is held on the big screen up there. Now, we've held a lot of big events here in the past, but probably the biggest event was in 2006 for the FIFA World Cup in Germany. Australia did very well that year, and well, there were so many people here you could barely breathe watching Australia on the big screen up there. It was quite crazy. The word in their language, it means a lot of, and Yarra means water. So what they were saying in their own language is, this is a lot of water, or this is a river. They thought colonials had never seen a river in their entire lives. Now, the real name of the river is Birrarung, which translates to River of Mist and Shadows. However, that mistake was never corrected, so the translation of our beautiful brown river is Water River. So, there you go. Now, I know everyone likes good views here in Melbourne. The Eureka Tower up there, it is our tallest building in Melbourne. Unfortunately, I can't claim it as the tallest in the Southern Hemisphere. There is a taller one in Queensland. And it's 297 metres tall, 89 floors, and on the 88th floor is a 360-degree viewing sky deck. Now, it costs $20 to go up there, and it's probably the best views here in Melbourne. On the 55th floor there is a bar, and you can get a seat by the window, the Louis Bar, Louis Bar. You get a seat by the window, and some beautiful views here in Melbourne as well. Now, a couple more things that I have.
even the early Polynesian settlers.
Chris. Chris.
Fields of New South Wales and Victoria. He worked there for 10 years, he did very well for himself, and while in Melbourne on one of his trips he met a young heiress down there, a beauty of her day, Eliza Geese, her name was, and in 1859 they married. Between 1859 and 1864 they had 4 children, Donald, Kate, Douglas and Colleen, and by then William's uncle Donald was a manager over in England, Bank of New South Wales. He invited him over to England to meet quite a few influential people. He went over there, it was a great success, and he was offered the job of Bank of Otago here in Dunedin. He accepted it and came over, packed his family up and came over to our wonderful city Dunedin. They lived in a flat above the bank, and Eliza was expecting another child, Alice, and her stepsister came and lived with them as well. So you can imagine it was quite a crowded place there. William was doing really well here in Dunedin. He started 2 sawmills, one in the North Island, one in the South Island, bought many properties, and it was going really well. So he decided he wanted to build a house that was deemed acceptable for his state in life. And so one day his son and him were riding around up here, and he used to send his sons up the trees to see the view. And they came up here and they said, "Oh yeah, Dad, this is the place. You can see the harbour, the ocean, Dunedin, and you've got farmland." and you consider all the rumbles and shakes we've had over the last 100 years and that, and it's never broken or anything like that. All the furniture here is made out of one tree, total tree. The Canterbury there is a thing that the ladies would keep all their sheet music in it. And Eliza didn't like the servants coming in when she had guests in here because they would listen to her, the gossip and everything like this, and she didn't like that. So every morning the servants used to wrap all the coals in tissue paper so she wouldn't get her hands dirty by picking up the coals and putting it in the fire. So that's a way to know that you're rich. This is a photo, an early photo of the Barkers who bought this place 49 years ago. As Margaret Barker and her husband Barry ride up, walk up the steps and walk in here. You can see the magnificent ceiling. It's got 10 lots of woods in the ceiling. It took Lewis Godfrey and his 2 sons 6 years just to do this room here. Every single panel is different panel. There's no 2 ones the same. It is the camp. William never called this the castle. He always regarded it as the camp. People from around used to name it the castle, but William never called it the castle. Come on in. Now this is an exact opposite to the room next door there. As you can see, the ceiling is very dark and discoloured, and that's because of the gentlemen. After dinner, they used to come in here, smoke their cigars, and play cards and everything here. And it's also where, remember I told you the story about the person pumping away at the methane gas? Well, one servant was very eager, pumped a little bit too hard and blew out all the windows. So that's why the ceiling is a little bit darker. But this is not an original piece of furniture, but it is dated to that day. This is a bed warmer with hot coals in there, and the servants would push it around the rooms to make it nice and warm. And they did have their own ensuite. It was hidden in her toilet. It was just right there. So as you can see, it's not as ornate as downstairs because of course the guests didn't come up here.
Then I do
They've gone down there. Shall we go for a bit? Quick looks out there then. Head on up there now.
Nature watch.
Disappearing gun, small scale. Can fire, and back. Fire one 100-pound shell out to sea. 5 miles. One shell a minute. 9 people to work. So each person had a job to do.
9 people for one?
9 people in this gun pit. Yeah, so everyone actually had a job to do. So this is a breech loading gun, and it's got a barrel that's rifled. Anyone know? It is the real thing. And they restored it in the 1920s, so 1970s, because they were concerned that it was rusting away. So they restored it fully. It's actually on a rotating platform. So with the aid of these 2 little wheels, it actually moves quite smoothly. The last time this gun was fired was in 1943. So she hasn't been fired since, and it was always friendly fire.
And this is where they said lighthouse, don't point
Yep.
your gun that way.
This is the lighthouse, don't point your gun. So they had to actually be told when they were going to fire the gun, and they had to remove everything from the houses around, off the windows, and they actually had to protect the windows and lanterns in the lighthouse because of the noise. So although we are 30 kilometres away from Dunedin City, when this gun fired,
Ali a gala dela.
no, cormorant.
Vamos lá ver se a gente sabe.
Olha aqui, olha.
O que é que fizeram? Coitadinho. Olha aquelas penas do tem assim. Já viste outra vez lá atrás?
Tinha ali embaixo.
photo bomb. Ian, you can photo bomb.
Sorry?
You can photo bomb if you want.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks.
It says it's 14.
That's so fun.
3 kilometres long. What used to happen in the old stagecoach days was before the horses went through the gorge, there was a changeover point here. They'd stop halfway for a drink and then they'd change over at the other end as well, because it's quite tough on the horses. The bathhouse. This is where you could come and it was called partaking in the waters. Yeah. So the geothermal waters here, full of minerals, etc. It's very relaxing to actually get in the waters, and that's what people used to do in the early 1900s. So the water would come from pools like this one on our right, which we can walk over to in a minute, and it would be pumped into the bathhouses here. It's had various different uses over the years. It was used for soldiers after the First and Second World Wars to help them to recuperate. It's also been a mental asylum as well, and it was advertised that by bathing in these waters it would cure absolutely anything. That was anything from insanity to a sore shoulder, whereas in reality it just makes you feel good, so why not? Okay, so here we are at Rachel Spring, or if you like you can call it Tonga Pipiro. I'll stick with Rachel, okay? And basically Rachel was, she was actually referred to as Madam Rachel. Yes, of course, yeah. Yeah, and she was, Rachel was English, and she was a very good marketer in the early 1900s. She got people to take basket, and then the food's wrapped. Nowadays we're talking takeaway tin foil with a lid on it goes in there, but of course it was all woven out of flax in the olden days.
That water all bubbles with that. It's far too close to this, it stinks. It's an area of subsidence and heavy geothermal activity. Now if you did have to fall in there, if you like falling into a vat of sprinklers, it would stick to you. The mud is about 90 degrees centigrade and you cook from the inside. Apparently it keeps you looking very young. I'm 106 and I use it every day. You've got a really good spot there. Now what happens now, in about 5 minutes time, you'll get about an introduction and then you'll get about 5 minutes of performance outside. It's just there.
any material around our park because it's not safe. So firstly, this man here, Rangi Te Aorere, he was chief of this tribe about 600 years ago. On the outstretched arms, this left side here and this right, it depicts the story of how two sisters brought geothermal activity to our park. On the left side here, you have Torua, who was the captain of the Mātātua tribe, who was Rangi Te Aorere's mother's side of the family. On the right here, you have Tamate Kapua, and he was captain of the Te Arawa Waka, and he is Rangi Te Aorere's represents his father's side. So, hi there, my welcome to Hell's Gate. How they use the waka kiruru. So if they had a lot, they would make a taha huahua, that basket there, and they would put it up in the trees so no animals could eat the birds. And the Māori would never ever waste anything. So with the beaks, the claws, even the feathers, they would make jewellery and cloak. Nothing was wasted. Turn it over. So no enemy tribes or rivals follow them. Now, why they went on raiding parties was to get meat and women. And we come up here in about groups of 3. Only the men. Our managers won't let the women come up because it's too dangerous. So when they collect the mud, it's like quicksand. Put a shovel in, you're just going to go down. And because it looks just the surface here, it's very, very deep. So one was here, second one was right there, now third one was right here. So yeah, this just continues to grow. And we had a French volcanologist come out here about a couple months ago now. Being a volcanologist, I think you know a bit about volcanoes and how they work. He can come up the side of the volcano here, and where you see that So what you want to do with the mud? Take it up into a ball. Shake off all the excess. When you apply a bit of pressure. And just go. Right. Good for any skin disease. You can eat it. Just a bit of a taste. It tastes grainy. And what makeup products wants to do, they want to buy this white mud off us, especially Thin Lizzy. They want to put it into their powders because this white mud removes all blemishes.
As you've seen, originally, of course, it was the turbine down there, just to generate electricity So about 80% of the electricity in New Zealand is generated either by wind water.
Where we were yesterday.
So did you have to go to like captain's school, or what kind of training did you have?
So the local New Zealand ticket, I had to do 18 months of sea time, which worked out to about 2 years working as a deckhand, and then sit my exams. So pre your exams, you have all your study done, ready a few more people have decided to go. Right. No, to the beach.
He could drag me face first across the top of the water. Yeah.
Went to the tent today.
It's all about teamwork, you see. Teamworking.
What a fight.
Yeah.
Hey, don't think you're going to surround us because we got you outnumbered. Good.
No, that's not good.
I think you were waiting for us to move.
And there was a bunch from our ship, wasn't there?
There were, yeah. I don't think they're them, though.
Then you gotta go. Then you gotta go.
Probably won't. Come on, Ricky.
He's there waiting on you.
This belt even adjusts to people your size. Hey, 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 hey. Edna, you coming up?
No.
Didn't have to think about that one.
Yeah, that was fast. Let me mull this over for a while. No, I'm not.
Let me think about it. Nope.